Let's be real. Most mainstream survival advice was written and field-tested by men, ignoring a glaring truth that survival plans for women have to be different, especially when we're responsible for little ones. I'm stripping the romance out of bugging out, because ladies, we know what it's like in them streets. Hi, I'm the Urban Lady Prepper. I help single moms and solo women with practical emergency preparedness. But of course, all are welcome to be better prepared for whatever happens next. Your bug-out bag isn't a lifeline. It's a ball and chain, plain and simple. Imagine this. 90 seconds after the sirens fade, a woman, maybe you, is hoofing it down the shoulder of I-95. She's got a 50-pound pack digging into her shoulders, one hand on a kid's stroller, the other trying to keep that pack from sliding. 0 hands left to defend herself. That picture you've probably rehearsed in your head, cool dawn light, a steady pace, nobody bothering you, that fantasy dies the second reality shows up. And trust me, reality often arrives in the shape of 2 bored strangers in a pickup truck. Today, we're stripping the romance out of bugging out because, let's be real, almost every scrap of mainstream survival advice out there was written by men, field-tested by men, and ignores a glaring truth. Women move through the world with a giant neon bullseye stitched to our backs. We face unique vulnerabilities, from physical limitations to safety concerns, especially when we're responsible for little ones. Let's start with the male default. Just open any prepping forum online. What do you see? The same checklist over and over. Tarp, cordage, fire starter, rifle, ammo, done. It's a good start for them. But what's glaringly missing from that male-centric list? Things like childcare, hygiene needs, the realities of a 28-day cycle, or the sheer shoulder torque required to hump a toddler and water. While some of us are awesomely strong, marathon-running gym rats, and God bless y'all, the average American woman is 5'4", maybe 165 pounds when she's not stress eating. Meanwhile, the average go-bag list starts at 35 pounds and just climbs from there. Mine is 45 pounds. Guys brag about rucking like it's some kind of personality trait, a badge of honor. But for us, women often get stress fractures at half that load. We're simply built differently, and that's not a weakness, it's just a fact. So here's the first hard truth. If your survival plan assumes you can out-hike danger while carrying the equivalent of 2 kitchen sinks, it's not your plan, it's his. And frankly, it's setting you up to fail. Which brings us to why the road is a predator. Let's be clear, just like the current political climate didn't create racist misogynists, societal collapses don't create bad guys, they simply unmask them. When 911 becomes a whole music loop, that's when 911 predators clock in. You've seen it happen. During Hurricane Katrina, for instance, the National Sexual Violence Resource Center logged a chilling 45% spike in reported assaults inside evacuation zones. And reported is the key word here. Most incidents tragically stayed quiet. A woman on foot, especially with children, can register as cargo to opportunists. Supplies strapped to her body, no visible tribe, her attention constantly pulled by scared kids. Every mile you walk away from your home turf, away from what's familiar, is another mile farther from witnesses, another mile into unknown territory where you might be seen as easy prey. Translation: the road owes you absolutely nothing and is perfectly willing to take everything. It's a harsh reality, but one we must absolutely acknowledge. This is why in my previous episode, I outlined the benefits of women bugging in unless everything is literally collapsing around you or on fire. Which is why bugging in wins. Let's talk about your house. It already does 3 crucial things no backpack ever will. It keeps the weather off your neck, hides you behind 4 solid walls, and stores at the bare minimum a month's worth of comforts without adding a single ounce to your spine. Think about the advantages. Boarded windows, blackout curtains, a sturdy door brace made from a couple of 2x4s, and a 5-gallon bucket of rice will beat the best ultralight tent on earth, hands down. Bugging in means you stay layered, creating circles of security. There's your inner circle, you and your kids safe inside. Then the middle circle, those trusted neighbors who owe you favors, or you them, forming a mutual aid network. And finally, the outer circle, local first responders who know your face, who might prioritize your street because they know the residents. Being layered like this means you're harder to reach, harder to starve, and much, much harder to intimidate. It also means maintaining some semblance of routine for your children, which significantly reduces their stress and meltdowns during a crisis. Home offers a controlled environment, familiar and secure, minimizing exposure to external threats. Next, let's again debunk the lone wolf fairy tale. Hollywood loves to peddle the image of the lone survivor, bandana-clad, stoic, with just a loyal dog by their side. It's a compelling narrative, sure, but in reality, lone females, particularly those with children, are often the first to be culled from the herd. Humans are inherently pack animals, and women, historically, have survived by weaving strong social webs, not by breaking them. We thrive on connection and on mutual support. Think about it. A 2020 Red Cross survey showed a staggering 72% of disaster survivors credited, quote-unquote, someone I knew for their rescue. Not gear, not guns, but relationships. If your escape blueprints ends with, and then I disappeared into the woods alone, you need to rip that page out right now. That's not prepping. That's a death poem. Your greatest asset isn't a fancy piece of equipment. It's your network, your community, your tribe. So let's build a female-specific bug-in toolkit. When it comes to stocking up for a bug-in scenario, think like you shop for your family. Rotate, label, and stack. Aim for a realistic 2,100 calories per adult per day. Kids can typically split an adult portion starting around age 7. Now, for feminine hygiene, actually count how many tampons or pads you burn through during one average cycle. Multiply that number by 6 to cover a solid 6 months. Then, vacuum seal them in mason jars or in an airtight food-grade bucket with an oxygen absorber. Trust me, mice love cotton. Water is another big one. That 1 gallon per person per day, often quoted by FEMA, that's a fantasy number designed to keep you humble. Realistically, I believe the bare minimum should be 3, and for women, especially with kids, consider extra for rinsing, cooking, laundry, dishwashing, and flushing when the power's out. For light, headlamps beat flashlights every single time. Your hands stay free for toddler wrangling or managing other tasks. And security? A cheap door bar costs $20 and buys you those precious 10 extra minutes. 10 minutes for neighbors to dial 911 or for you to dial 911 and prepare what self-defense plan you may have. Don't forget a well-stocked first aid kit, including specific medications for yourself and your children, plus over-the-counter pain relievers, anti-diarrheals, and allergy meds. But what if you have to bug out? What is the escape trigger? Look, bugging in is plan A, absolutely. But plan B? Plan B is when staying kills you faster. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about clear-eyed assessment. Mandatory evacuation orders, a structural fire engulfing your home, or credible intel that a mob is literally door-knocking on your street. These are all signals that you need to leave and fast. The critical thing here is to decide your trigger now while your mind is clear, not when it's at your doorstep. For me, my personal trigger is simple. If I smell smoke nearby, or if the power's been down for 72 hours and a crowd outside starts chanting, I'm gone. Write yours down. Put it on a Post-it and tape it inside your pantry or closet. Why? Because adrenaline makes geniuses stupid. The ink doesn't. Having that predetermined line in the sand removes doubt and indecision when every second counts. So you've made the decision to bug out. A vehicle is better than a backpack. Let's do some basic math. The average car can comfortably hold 4 humans plus 400 pounds of gear and still cruise at 60 miles an hour. Now, the average woman, she can jog maybe 3 miles an hour while dragging 40 pounds and begging a 4-year-old to keep up. See the difference? Your vehicle is your primary bug-out tool, full stop. Keep that gas tank at least half full at all times. Anything less is a rookie tell. Maintain a robust car emergency kit, including jumper cables, a spare tire, basic tool set, and a siphoning kit. Note that gas stations typically run dry within about 6 hours once panic buying starts. So as soon as you hear things might get dicey, fill up your car and get a gas can and fill that up too. Hopefully, that will get you far enough away or at least to your secondary location. Now, for your go bag, we're going to do a light edition. So if you absolutely must leave on foot, your go bag becomes your lifesaver, but it needs to be light. My rule of thumb, if you can't deadlift the pack twice in a row, it's too heavy. Me, I maxed out at 45 pounds. What goes in it? Water packet, life straw, 2 Mylar blankets, at least 1 change of underwear and socks per person, protein food in pouches like tuna, and a tarp big enough for all of you to fit under in case you must wait out some bad weather. Have copies of important documents in a Ziploc bag. As much cash as you can, ideally up to $300 in small bills. A small first aid kit, and critically, 1 comfort item per kid. Yes, even that crusty dinosaur. Don't forget portable charger banks. Ones that have the solar charging option is ideal. And charger cords for essential devices. And don't forget a spare car key. Everything else, shelter, fire starting tools, heavier gear, lives in the vehicle or stays at the house, not on your spine. This isn't about carrying everything. It's about carrying only what is absolutely essential for immediate survival until you can reach a safe destination. As far as the best way out, the answer is more than one. Never, ever have just one way out. Map at least 3 different ways: your primary road, a back road, or secondary route, and then that I will trade my soul to avoid this dirt trail. Drive them. Drive them on a lazy Sunday when traffic is chill. Note which bridges flood, which gas stations stay open 24/7, and which Walmarts have bathrooms you can slip into without traversing the entire store. Save these critical waypoints in your phone's notes or offline maps. Some cell towers topple like dominoes when the wind hits just 90 miles an hour. And for heaven's sake, print paper copies of those maps. Phones die, paper just gets wet. Practice these routes regularly, especially with your family, so they become second nature. The more familiar you are with your escape options, the less panic will set in when it's time to go. And you want to go to a safe destination, not plan to camp. Forget the romantic notion of a cabin in the mountains. That's a fantasy. Your safe destination needs to be practical and prearranged. Aim for a friend or family member who's expecting you, who has a spare key, who knows your kids' allergies, and who won't blink an eye when you show up at midnight with tears and goldfish crackers. Prearrange an emergency code word if necessary. I have one, and my people know that when I text it, they should unlock the door and keep the porch light on. Hotels can work too, if you don't have a place to go. If you know a disaster's coming and you've decided to bounce, book a hotel outside the area, refundable if possible. The key is a known, secured, and welcoming destination, not just a random spot on a map. And never forget that community is currency. This is huge. Start small, right in your neighborhood. Swap phone numbers with the neighbor who gardens, the one who's a nurse, the one who owns a generator and brags a little too much about it. Host a once-a-month coffee and compare canned goods morning. Nobody has to admit they're prepping. Everyone just admits they love coffee. Trade babysitting for extra hands to rotate water barrels. Trade extra ibuprofen for eggs. Trade knowledge for loyalty. When a crisis hits, those small swaps turn into tangible support. Escorts to the car, shared watches, someone to hold your baby while you climb up on the roof to tarp hail damage. Alone, you're prey. Together, you're prickly. A strong, interconnected community is perhaps the most valuable asset you can cultivate, far more so than any piece of gear. Now, if any of this resonated with you, if it sparked a thought or offered a new perspective, consider sharing it. Let's get this information to other women, another mom who's tired of being told to just buy a bigger backpack. What's your bug out escape trigger or your best tip for lightening a go bag? Share your insights. The collective wisdom here is incredibly powerful. Now, let's talk about an uncomfortable topic: self-defense. You don't need to become Rambo, you just need to become expensive. Hard targets get skipped. Take a 4-hour women-only defense class. YWCAs offer them and they're affordable. Check their website for the ones closest to you because that investment is priceless. Carry what you're willing to use and legally allowed to own. If you don't own a firearm, have pepper spray in your hand, not buried in your purse. A whistle on a neck lanyard that your kid can blow. A tactical pen if you fly frequently and can't pack spray. And remember, if you choose to fight, you must give 100%. But beyond the tools, cultivate situational awareness. Always be aware of your surroundings. Avoid isolated or poorly lit areas and walk with purpose. Put on your crankiest game face. Practice the sentence, back off, until it rolls off the tongue without the upward lilt of a question. Predators hate confidence. Your bearing and your awareness are your first lines of defense. Remember, your mindset is key. Fear is a GPS. It's meant to point you in a direction, not paralyze you. Every time my brain whispers, what if, I answer with an action. Refill the bleach, check my stores, see if anything's expired. Walk the evacuation route with my go bag. Courage isn't the absence of panic. It's the decision that your kids deserve a mother who's practiced. It's about mental preparedness, knowing you have a plan and trusting your judgment. Preparedness stacks tiny, deliberate choices until the day the world unravels. Then, because you've practiced, because you've thought it through, it feels like muscle memory. That confidence, that sense of agency is an invaluable survival tool. And here's the section that I can relate with, solo women without kids. For solo women, the rules are largely the same, but with a few crucial distinctions. Smaller bag, faster feet. Your advantage, you only have to negotiate with yourself. Your disadvantage, potentially, nobody notices if you disappear. This is why building a check-in buddy system is non-negotiable. Text, still breathing, every night at 10. If you miss 2 check-ins, your buddy sends the cavalry. And choose that cavalry wisely. Someone who owns a crowbar and a big dog, not the friend who says, I'm sure she's fine, while refreshing TikTok. Your support network for a solo woman might even include considering group evacuations in some scenarios, as traveling with others inherently increases safety. Trust your instincts above all else. If something feels unsafe, change your plan immediately. Now, for everyone, it's important that you rehearse so you can release the guilt. You've planned, you've prepped. Now, run one full drill. Set the alarm, grab your bags, and go. Notice where you snag. Kids can't find their shoes, the car seat twists, the gate gets stuck. Don't get discouraged. Fix one snag at a time. Afterward, celebrate with ice cream because practicing the worst day of your life is emotionally filthy work. Then, and this is important, let it go. Preparedness isn't a moral virtue. It's a practical, ongoing task, not a competition for perfection. The goal is readiness, not anxiety. So in conclusion, here's the hard truth, wrapped in a bow. The most feminist thing you can do is refuse to become a refugee in someone else's fantasy. Fortress home, a light bag, a full tank of gas, and a trusted tribe. Those are real, tangible assets. Everything else? That's just gear bro marketing designed to sell you more stuff you don't need for a scenario that probably doesn't fit your reality. Share this message with the woman who swears she'll figure it out when it happens. This isn't about bench pressing 200 pounds. It's about smart, practical, woman-centric survival. Remember, survival isn't about the stuff on your back. It's about the people who've got your back. Thanks for listening. Until next time, this is the Urban Lady Prepper signing off. I'm sure I've given you some things to think about as you go through the upcoming week. Has this episode resonated with you? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to click the link in the podcast description to get your free Essential Prepper checklist. While there, get one of my cool designs on a shirt, hat, mug, and more at my Redbubble store. Or you can always buy me a coffee or get a Jace case for your emergency medical needs. It helps support what I do, and I really appreciate it. Join me on the socials, especially on YouTube, where I'll be uploading videos for my blogs from UrbanLadyPrepper.com. I appreciate your time with me. Stay safe, stay sharp, and be ready.